Good morning to all my students, all my learners, all my scholars, all my parents, and especially a special mental morning moment today for everybody that dares to listen with wisdom and not criticism. Today's morning mental moments, I do have special guests of honor, and that is to all my adults living with autism, all grown up and being autistic. My name is Isabella Jansen. I'm an autistic myself. I am a great advocate for mental awareness as well as inclusiveness, as well as support, as well as fulfilling a purpose of getting what is important out there. Now, I believe greatly that God has bestowed a purpose on us. And as sure as I believe in heaven and hell, I believe that God picks his strongest soldiers for his toughest work. His strongest soldiers for his toughest work. And I've seen it, and to pay tribute to the late Charlie Kirk, who I believe also had a purpose bestowed upon him by God, and for the lack of a better word, for everybody who has the balls to get up and to speak out and speak up about things that is needed. Things that is needed to be heard. Things that is needed to get addressed. And stunned I was when I listened to the speech of the United States President at the memorial of Charlie Kirk, when he said that in honor of his attempts, he is going to have a conference on autism. At first I thought, no, I couldn't hear correct. No, that couldn't be what I've heard. I've heard something else. But then listening a few seconds onward, surprised, in awe, out of all the things that there could be, all the things that the neurotypical world would have found more important, a superpower country chose autism as a point to be addressed. And this is why I want to present this video, present this broadcast to especially adults living with autism in less economical developed countries, and even to narrowing it down in regions of that country or in towns where the neurotypical norm is much still orientating and dictating the way of living, where the education and the willingness to be educated about mental disorders, especially autism, is still frowned upon, where support is still few and far apart, and then lastly, where opportunities is still basically non-existent. And I do strongly believe that I am not the only autistic currently trapped in that situation. I'm currently trapped in a town, in a region, battling PTSD, feeling like a steam locomotive on my very last very last chunk of coal, depleted, riddled with anxiety, and basically not knowing if I'm going to make it. I'm talking to you guys because I believe I'm not the only one. Now, I am not a medical expert, although I do have a degree in social work and psychology. But just as I am riddled with anxiety, riddled with chronic fatigue, riddled with fear, riddled with trauma, every second of the day for more than 2 months now, I'm also riddled with experience. Because if you are an adult like me, who had a late diagnosis, and for the better part of your whole life had to live with this condition in an environment and in a community, in a lower economical developed country where autism in the late 1980s consisted out of 2 lines, which was can't be cured, institutionalized. Then you will have the scars, been around that mountain 1,000 times, been up and down that mountain 1,000 times, had to face the lion head on almost every day, then experience will overflow. And I ask that for those of you who's watching this video, because I think it's a tremendous important point, and you are good at Facebook, at Twitter, or platforms like that, please support me in sharing this, because I am not good at that. I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, but just to case my point, I, as an autistic, as a neurodiverse person, suck at social media. I can't do it. I don't know how. I struggle with that part of the technology. And for people who are good at that, I applaud you. I really think it's amazing. And that's why my question aroused that statistically, there are things that we as neurodiverse, autistic people are very good at, are good at doing. That's our superpower. That's our gifts. And that's not, in essence, claiming superiority or inferiority. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. I didn't choose to be autistic. I was born that way. And if I can do something, like I said, if you are good at this, please support me. I am, and I believe most of us, because autistic people are very caring people. We care. If you are good at something that I am not good at, I am happy with you or happy for you. I'm applauding you. But still the other way around is still traumatic. The things that we are good at, that some neurotypicals or most of the neurotypicals just can't do, are still seen as intimidating, claiming superiority, as I said, rude, not accepted, and I can't understand why. If you are a neurotypical person and you are tremendous at makeup, or you are a very fashionable person, I will give you compliments. It wouldn't faze me. I wouldn't belittle you or be jealous or humiliate you for being good at that. But many of our autistic adults became the punching bags of the neurotypical community just because we are good at something or at specific things that neurotypicals just can't do. And that's standing up for you as an adult, because big boys and big boys don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Yes? Now, it was great to hear at the memorial of Mr. Kirk when the president mentioned the latest stats that about 1 out of every 12 boys are born with autism and 1 out of every 20 girls are born with autism. Now, I am super glad for children with autism who were born in the modern world, where autism became known, where autism became a point of discussion, a point of urgency, a matter of urgency to World Health Organizations, mental organizations, because when you are a child in the modern world now, and your parents or your caretakers know you are autistic, your life ahead will be much more easier than adults like us, which didn't have that, and who had to battle our way until to the point of exhaustion, to the point of not believing that you're going to make it. Because now, for the people, for the children that are now born, there are provisions made. There are strategies in place to accommodate them. So they will grow up with the skill, with the confidence, with the support that adults like us did not have. Now, there is a lot of strategies and theory of how you can support your adult autistic. But like I've mentioned, and I believe this is a matter of urgency, there's no manual that you are born with, especially if you are born with a mental condition like autism. It doesn't come with a manual. Now, you can read books and read statistics and read strategies and tips, and thank God there are many literature visually written available on autism. But to bring the practice and the theory together for spouses, for husbands, for wives, for friends, for family, having an autistic adult in your circle is a different ball game. And that's why I have 4 things that you can do when you have an autistic adult currently in a condition where they need support, how you can start supporting us that didn't have the support that we needed way back then. And to make adults in my position which I believe they are, aware of, there are someone who will stand up for you. You are not alone. The first thing that I want to suggest, remember, it differs from individual to individual. Like I said, it differs where the autistic person finds him or herself, in what situation, what is the circumstances. What applies to one does not apply to all. But there are some common things that you can try to make the life of the autistic adult in your life a little more bearable. The first thing that I can suggest, I want to call it neurotypical education for dummies, is find out what the communication style of your autistic adult friend, partner, family member is. If it is a text with a picture, sometimes, especially if we are in a stage of crisis, when we are dysregulated, when we are at our wit's end, we cannot verbalize. Communication is a big no-no from the start. Why? Why? Because of the amount of rejection and the amount of harsh comebacks that we had to endure, that we have experienced when tried to verbalize or to communicate. That's why we can't communicate in distress. But if I send you an emoji, a face, a hug, or something, that means I am reaching out to you. I can't text, but I am reaching out to you. And the best thing you can do is trying to interpret the picture, the emoji, or the little thing I can send to you, and send me something back. Acknowledge the fact that I have reached out to you. This is the first little thing that you can do when you have an autistic in your life, especially an adult with a late diagnosis, already in trauma, how you can support them. Secondly, reassurance. For me, reassurance is the most valuable tool that you can give your autistic adult. Because remember, we have been told so many times that we are worth nothing. We do not fit in. We are weird. We should conform. We have lost our jobs. We have friends that have ghosted us. If we have friends at all. We are trapped in situations we cannot get out of. So reassure your autistic adult in crisis that you are there even, and now this is going to sound strange, but to the brain of a neurotypical, it will make no sense. But for the brain of a neurodiverse, for an autistic person, it will make a lot of sense. Even if you have to lie to reassure. You know that saying, fake it till you make it? That will make the world of difference. Because as an autistic adult, we are riddled with demands. I have to keep my job. I have to do this. I have to pay the bills. I can't be what I am. I have to be something else. I have to do this, I have to do that. And then yet again, if you think that we are choosing anxiety, choosing meltdowns, choosing chronic pain, you can't be more further away from the truth. If you think it is a nice thing for us to battle trauma every single day, to battle dysregulation every single day, to battle harassment and fear every single day, you are wrong. Everybody wants to be happy. So do we. We don't choose it. We just get to try and survive it. And that's the thing that I believe the neurotypical world still do not understand. So reassure your partner. And the best way, strategies for NT dummies. I remember when I was in training to become a fitness and well-being instructor for 2 years via the Virgin Active and Reebok. We were dealing with nutrition, and our mentor told us, when someone asks you, what is the best way to diet? The best metaphor you can use for them is saying, pretend you are feeding a 5-year-old. Will you give a chunk of cheesecake to a 5-year-old just before bedtime? For heaven's sakes, no, you won't. No. Will you forget to give your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, or your 10-year-old even breakfast? No, you won't. So pretend you are feeding a 5-year-old, and then you do it yourself. And that's a classic metaphor. What I can give the neurotypical world for the autistic adult in your life is pretend you are dealing with a kid. And I don't belittle the autistic adults by saying you are kids. No. I'm giving a little bit of advice to neurotypical people. You will not tell your autistic 6-year-old, do you know how much does it take of me to take care about you? Do you know the amount of effort I have to put in just to deal with you? Will you let your 5-year-old or your 6-year-old in the middle of a meltdown say, oh, just sit under the tree. I'm just watching my series now. I can't miss this one. Please. Really, I don't know what is wrong if you don't talk to me. Will you do that? No, you won't. So the best way where you can start dealing and helping your traumatized autistic adult is number 1, communication style. Number 2, pretend you are taking care of a 5-year-old. Comfort them. Make sure you will never tell your 5-year-old, Lovey, you have to pay the electricity bill. You won't do that because in your mind you know that's not the kid's responsibility. Now try to ease the demands that's already upon your autistic adult. Do not constantly remind them of all the things they have to do, of all the things they cannot do, of the trauma that they bestow upon you by being in crisis. Night awakenings, nightmares. If your autistic child wakes up in the middle of the night, will you let them roam free from 3 o'clock in the morning until you wake up 7 o'clock in the morning? No, you won't. You will get up. Now, what makes the adult autistic people in crisis in trauma so different. Many of neurotypical spouses just, okay, you had a night awakening. Well, she's old, she's an adult, she can deal with that. The next thing, if your neurotypical for dummy strategy, if you're the autistic adult in your life, pluck up the guts, and believe me if I say it takes a lot of guts for us to try and speak, to try and talk to you, to try and convey our emotions. If we do that, please do not lecture. The worst thing that you can do is lecturing. Because remember, we already feel trapped. We already feel worthless. We already are rejected. We already are ghosted. We are already at our wits' end. Now, if you are going to lecture us or be a wise ass, all communication is just going to shut down. So, do not lecture, especially not about religion. Because I cannot tell you the amount and the hours in this past 2 months that I have experienced day after day, wash after wash, PTSD, autistic burnout, meltdowns, shutdowns, pain, the hours I spent talking to God. So do not lecture me on religion. Do not do that to your autistic adult. And then, the last tip for dummies, the typical tip for dummies. We all know, we have the literature, we have the knowledge, we have heard it. Employment. Neurodiverse people, because of their ability, can benefit your business so much if you just let them. Now we know that the best way to employ your autistic person is to give them a safe space, a quiet environment, flexible hours, working from home days. But when you are an autistic adult like me, trapped in an environment, trapped in a city, trapped in a town, where there aren't opportunities like that, there's no way someone will employ me, because they do not see the quality, they just see the quantity. What then? What do you as a neurotypical friend or spouse or family member think is going through the mind of your autistic partner or the autistic in your life? Knowing I can't relocate because my partner has a solid job, is already settled. The burden it bestowed upon an autistic is something that I do not wish for my biggest enemy. And if there are employers out there that listen to this outcry of neurodiverse people, neurodiverse adults, autistic adults trapped in this situation, please listen to me. The neurodiverse, the autistic person can be as much as an asset to your business as anyone else. Even more, I can say, if you just accommodate, you will be surprised. So to all my neurotypicals out there, If you have an autistic adult, late diagnosed, going through trauma, trapped in a place, these are the 4 little things that you can start with by just giving that little support to make their lives 2% better. Learn their style of communication. If they reach out back. Do not condone by saying, you're big, you're grown up, deal with it. Simple thing. Pretend you are dealing with a 5-year-old. Give comfort, give reassurance. Number 3, don't lecture. Don't pressure. Don't remind about the huge responsibility you will now face by taking care of you. Do you know how much it takes out of me to deal with you? Why don't you just turn to God? We do. We do. And people that don't be intimidated, get educated. Include your neurodiverse adult in your business, in you as an employer, because we've got so much to offer. And if you are someone listening to this and you feel you want to reach out because you are in a position where I am, where support is little, opportunities is few and far apart, my email address will be popped up on the screen. Please email me. And if you are in a town where you know for any mental conditions, there are support needed, be the one to reach out, to maybe establish a group, to maybe get educated, to maybe help these people, support these people. If there is someone that you can reach out to, please reach out to me. I will pop my email address up on the screen. That you can know that you are not forgotten. You are not as worthless as you think you are. And lastly, God sees you. God knows what you are going through. I strongly believe that. And even if you feel like me, that there's no end in sight, this will carry on until I cannot go forever. I've pushed the limit so far. And I like to quote these words of J. Mario Hardy, a pro surfer, that said, sometimes if you push the limits push back. If you feel you are in that position, you're not alone. You are not alone. And thank you to all my neurotypicals who's going to help me share this in platforms where I cannot. Thank you so much. And until I see you again, be good, be safe, be wise, and stand up for what you believe in, if that's your godly call.